Dulce et Decorum S by Wilfred Owen. Bent double, like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge, till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep, many had lost their boots but limped on, bloodshot, all went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, death, even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Gas! Gas! Quick, boys! An ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone still was yelling out and stumbling, and floundering like a man in fire or lime, dim through the misty panes and thick green light, as under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch the white eyes writhing in his hanging face like a devil sick of sin, if you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent of some desperate glory the old lie, Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. Using the Venler grid, starting with meaning, Owen starts by illustrating soldiers trudging through terrain. They are so tired they don't hear a poison gas shell, but when one of them yells, they all fumble trying to get their helmets on to protect them from the gas. One of the men, unfortunately, was too slow and dies from the gas. The speaker sees this image in his dream, and then the speaker then pleads to the audience to not so eagerly encourage men to go to war, because the reality of deaths in the war is arbitrary and much worse than they think. Division into parts. The first part, he's telling it like a story. Second part, he's addressing himself. And the third part, he addresses the audience. The climax is when the soldier dies. And leading up to it, when it says gas, quick, boys, the pace of the poem speeds up, and then the soldier drowns in the gas. And then afterwards, the speaker reflects on the death, and then he ends by addressing the audience. So the skeleton is a sharp accent. It stands at 2, and then it ends on a very powerful note with the Latin words. The exclamation makes the accent in the skeleton, and then the Latin words end on a reflective tone, a very powerful tone. So the language, Owen uses a lot of imagery, similes throughout the poem to make the reader understand the brutality they endured. They uses sensory details, especially hearing, yelling out, stumbling, the exclamations again. And there's a lot of colors involved. He addresses the audience directly, saying, if you could hear at every jolt the blood. And the tone is desperate at first, then goes to chaotic as they're fumbling to put their helmets on, then to depressed when he's thinking about the soldier that was killed, and then to a passionate pleading, still using words, bitter as the curd, vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues. The main agent is irony, as the title means how sweet it is. Owen's goal is to juxtapose people's heroic perceptions of fighting with the realities of the battlefield. For example, in the first stanza, the men are exhausted and not driven by patriotism, but are actually miserable. Roads not taken, if the speaker revealed that the soldier that died was his son, and he is actually a fellow parent telling his regrets. The genre is the unforgettable horrors of the war, as this is such a specific moment that he is remembering. And imagination, striking colors, green, red, and white. And he addresses the audience directly, so they can't ignore his plea, which leaves a very long-lasting effect on the audience.